Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hello, we'll be starting in a moment. Just waiting for a few more people to come up. Shout out to Nana Preku. Always first man in. I appreciate that, bro. Hi, Mimi. And Dennis, I've sent you invitations to come up, so please check your notifications or request for the mic and join me up here. Hi, Mimi. How you doing?
Hey, Kim, I'm well. How you doing yourself?
I'm great. Just great. Yeah. Dennis, how about you? How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. In fact, Dennis, last week you promised that you would be a speaker last week, but last week you didn't come to speak.
I'm sorry.
No, Dennis, these days you've been doing me waga drip.
It's the network.
Blame it on the network. So, Mimi, speaking of network, I saw some tweets earlier this week, or is it post on Instagram earlier this week about Ghanaian math. Did you see anything like that?
No. Which Ghanaian math? Like, maybe I've seen it. Yes.
Well, one of the jokes was that a Ghanaian will say, "I've called you, sir."
Yeah.
Check your phone,
I think I saw it on Ghana Twitter, Instagram. Yeah.
So on that note, Mimi, I've called you, sir.
Really?
Yeah, but it just said calling, not ringing. So I figured it was the network.
I need to talk to you.
We need to talk.
Watching now,
I got you. Yeah. I'm generally available tomorrow. So
are you on?
Feel free.
I keep on forgetting that you are done with the intention.
Yeah. Back to the life of a student. Yeah. So yeah, trying to start call. You know the drill. If I don't answer, I'll call back.
And how is it? It seems like you are very tired. Sarah has baptized you. Charlie, the way I was laughing at you last week.
Well, what happened last week?
Sarah, right now, Dennis he's working like he has been working for 5 years.
That's the spirit. That's the way. That's how you know you are on the right path. When in your first 2 weeks, you are working like somebody that has been working for 5 years. I know you're on the right path. Yeah, that's good. When you're tired, just drink water and you'll be fine. Reminds me of a certain Captain America. Was it Winter Soldier or one of the Avengers movies? And Captain America was giving a pep talk. They were fighting, and he was like, "If you die, walk it off. If they kill you, Seth, Charlie, shake it off and get back into the fight. How you going to do? I will not know." Okay, all right. So yeah, I really miss those early money convos from when we were back in the clubhouse and we're just having nice, hearty conversations. I guess lately I've been making it too serious. So hopefully today we can make it also light. We've been watching this series, How to Get Rich, on Netflix. Dennis, have you started watching it? At least episode 1.
Yeah, I have. I'm actually on episode. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. That's good. Mimi, how about you?
Sorry, the question again.
Yeah, have you started watching it? I know it was your idea for us to watch it. So which episode have you got?
Charlie, I've watched it twice, so I'm just hoping my memory will be sharp enough.
Let's do it twice. Wow, that's good. All right. So I figured we could start today. Let's just talk about episode 1. I was thinking we could talk about more episodes, but when I was watching the thing, the insights that were coming out, the bars, the gems, the applicability to people's general lives, I was like, yo, these are so many points. I don't think we'll cover all in 1 hour, and this is just one episode. How much more if we add more episodes? So I guess we can start with episode 1 and hope Mimi's memory won't fail her. How does that sound?
Great, great. I don't throw bomb again.
Okay, all right. Adam mentioned that he'll be joining us soon. Great. So, how to get rich? So it starts with someone. He's a columnist for the New York Times. Now I'm the one throwing bombs. He's a journalist and he talks about money and personal finance. And I feel like the title is deceptive. But then again, I understand it has to be catchy, it has to be short. So how to get rich, right? But when you get into it and he starts explaining it, how to get rich, he's like, no, actually, it's about how do you live your rich life, and a rich life is different for everybody. For him, his philosophy is spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. And that's how he feels like people can live their rich life. Reminds me of all the conversations that we have about our budgets, right? Our budgets are not supposed to enslave us. It's just supposed to make sure that our money goes to things that we want our money to go to. So let's start off with with the concept of living your rich life. Mimi, what does living your rich life look like for you? When you are doing it, if we see what we see you doing?
Well, for me, I think that generally having a financial fallback is one for me. Also, when you are budgeting and you have to keep on like cleaning the numbers and reducing it over and over again, my rich life will be having a decent amount of money to spend on the things that are important to me. My rich life will be acquiring assets that I can pass on to the next generation. Finally, my rich life will be having enough assets to say that, you know what, I'm tired. I'm taking a break for the next 2 or 3 years. I just want to be inspired and being able to do that. So those are what I will call my rich life.
Wow, those are very good points. And looking at the order of things, when we see Mimi take a career break for some 1 or 2 years, we know that Mimi is living her rich life. That's nice. That's nice. That's good. Dennis, how about you? What does your rich life look like?
So, I'm looking at today with a new perspective of what I think my rich life would be. So, for me, my rich life basically, I see it as being financially stable, having a good set of friends around me who inspire me, hopefully a fresh meal on the table every night, being the happiest version of myself, being happier than I envision myself to be maybe 10, 15 years from now. So basically, it's a wholesome, I think I should be more than I am today. And maybe 5 years or 10 years from now, I should be better than I am now.
That's nice. I like the coming home to or having a fresh meal at night every night. That's very simple desires that you have, So yeah, quite attainable. I thought as a young boy there, I thought you'd be talking about getting Rolls Royce and those kind of things. That's what I was expecting. So yeah, very nice, modest, achievable, rich life things. Okay, cool. Hey, to our audience, we are having a conversation about how a series on Netflix, the first episode, How to Get Rich, and it talks about it's about a journalist who is talking to people and helping them through their financial problems, helping them to get to a point where they can live their rich life. And his philosophy is that you should spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. If you've watched this series or this episode, first episode, that's great. Send us a DM of any questions you have or any comments you want to make. And also, if you haven't, it's general information. We'll be looking at certain examples from various people, and you realize that you can relate to it. So yeah, for me, my rich life, definitely number one would be to have a very beautiful, fast car. Beautiful fast car. Sometimes it sounds ridiculous. Like why do you even need a fast car when there are speed limits? Is that 0 to 60 every now and then? Oh? When I'm on the highway, I can reduce my speed down to like 10 miles per hour and then floor it again, get back to 60. Do that like many times. The petrol will finish, but my happiness will go up. So that one like this, or when you're up walking towards your car, you are parked, you're about to move, you just walk towards your car, then you press the alarm, pip, pip, then the car just looks beautiful. Then you know some of these new cars they have the lights. Then the lights will be doing some dancing things. Yeah, that's my rich life. On to other aspects. Every need met, right? Where it's like if my family needs something, I'm not necessarily just talking about wants, but like needs, cost of education, health, those kind of things. Everything is sorted. Then I my have an emergency fund that can keep me going for like 1 year if I'm not working for 1 year. Yeah, have that, like Mimi was saying, a fallback that I can always, fall back on. That's great for me. And my rich life really, it's surrounding myself with people I like, having enough time to be able to spend with them. Maybe not even on, maybe once an hour during the weekdays, and then some more time on the weekends. Yeah, that's a good thing. And having that go to hell money. You understand? For me, it's something I'm really trying hard to build. That's that kind of money, that Charlie, so much money. Very few people can tell you anything you want to do. Yeah. So for me, that's all part of my rich life. I see Adam just joined. I give him a moment, and then I want to hear his perspective on what his rich life looks like. So yeah. Moving on, I want to know your perspectives on this philosophy by the host. Mimi or Dennis, do you remember his name? Is it Jay Seti?
I think it was Ramit. Um,
Ramit Sethi?
Ramit Sethi. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Ramit Sethi. Okay, great. So do you remember what's your take about his philosophy? And his philosophy is spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. Any thoughts on this?
Ah, I think it's a bit tricky because people can say they love all sorts of things and spend by us. Of course, if he's saying within a budget, then that's fine. Also, it may be a bit tricky because you may, let's say, if you like cars, right, spend a lot of money on cars at the neglect of other important things, which may affect you. So I think before you spend money extravagantly on what you like, at least your basics should be covered. That's what I think. So it's more with the wants that you can, or let me not say the wants, because sometimes even the needs, you renting in easily gone is different from renting in Mamprovi. You get it, but I mean the basics should be covered before you say that you are going to spend on what you really like, because if you spend on what you really like without having the basics, you may put yourself in a tight situation. That's my take.
Mimi, boss, you've said very important things. At doing what you want at the neglect of other things, right? And also at the top of what you were saying, you're talking about wanting to do everything. You just got me thinking about this saying ahead. If everything is priority, then nothing is priority. Right? So yeah, you have to figure out what your basic needs are. And like you said, even though shelter is a basic need, shelter in Mamprobi may be a need, but shelter in East Legon, when you can't afford it, is a want. Yeah. That's that's an important point you've raised. Thank you for bringing that up. Dennis, how about you? What do you think about this?
Okay, for me, I think Ramit wanted to avoid sounding like other generic advices. So I think he was of the opinion that if you identify the things that you love, which can't be too many, you can cut off the unnecessary expenses, which most of the time take most of our income, and then by focusing on the one thing that you love, and making sure you align your goals with the thing that you love, you can, live your best life. So I think throughout the movie, he wanted to avoid sounding generic. This was tell me what you love and let's plan on how to get there. So I think it's a good approach to have. But if you plan things well, I think throughout the movie we saw it working.
No, then that's a very good observation about his approach. Not trying to sound boring, not trying to bring the hammer down on people on everything. You must do this, you must do that. We are not doing well enough. Blah blah blah. It's a really refreshing approach for people to know that they can still get what they want and not necessarily have to kill themselves. And it also gets me thinking about there have been analysis about, let's say, or there's a theory out there that, okay, you have a lot of debts, right? You have many loans from different institutions. Which one do you pay down first? Of course, the math and the economists and the usual personal finance people will tell you that pay off the highest interest rate one first, right? And then someone like Gordon Ramsay would say, nah, pay off the smallest ones first. Because he's coming from a different approach, non-generic, and he's saying, you will feel better seeing these lines drop off your list. When you cancel things, you feel better and you feel more motivated. So yeah, which one is the quickest to clear? Clear that one first, rather than trying to clear down maybe something that is a high interest rate, but it's a huge amount. And then you keep every month you are trying to reduce it, and nothing is changing. You feel demotivated, so you can't go further. So you may be thinking you are winning the battle, but you lose the entire war. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective you've observed. Not being generic. That's great. Thanks for pointing that out. Um, yeah, I think with this philosophy, I really like it, and I want to piggyback on what Mimi said again. Assuming that you have covered your basics. You've covered what's important. You have a roof over your head, sustainable roof over your head. You have a certain sense of security. You have a good, stable job. The basic things, your retirement planning. If you are in Ghana, you are doing making sure your SNIT is being paid. Your tier 2 and tier 3 are being paid. In fact, if you don't have tier 3, get a tier 3 or do a private thing. Get those basics done. And then look forward to what's next. And then with that, you can spend extravagantly on what you love. Like, if you want to buy some expensive perfume, and for you don't necessarily have to wear the fanciest shoe, fine. Just get some basic shoe that will get you where you need to go, and then buy the fanciest perfume. The trade-offs that make sense for you, you do that, but without neglecting what's important. So yeah, great. Adam, are you there? Hello, Adam. Okay, all right. You know what? I'll give you a break for now, but before that, quickly tell us, what does your rich life look like? I got you. Okay, all right. So you don't want to be stressed out about money. You want to have the freedom to do whatever you want. I see that, Adam, you really like work because your rich life, cry, you're still working.
Yeah, I like working. Like I don't know why. I like working, but I just like to do it in my own pace. That's all.
Gotcha. On a related subject, it's sad for me to admit that I have come to a point I've seen that, Charlie, I like work, but I prefer working in high pressure environments. I wouldn't consider myself a procrastinator, but after my I think after my internship working at a fast paced firm, it got me back in that killer instinct. And right now at school, when the deadline is not so close, I'm like, nah, I'll wait for the deadline to come closer, and then that'll ginger me to bring out the best in me, because when things are slow there, it doesn't work for me. But anyway, story for another day. Yeah, Adam loves to work, and his rich life still involves him working, but at his preferred pace. Great. So as we're discussing this, I strongly encourage you in the audience, think about what your rich life entails. We encourage you to make sure that you've covered what's priority to you, the basic needs. Then as you look beyond that, you try to picture how can you get to that point where you are living your rich life, where you are living the kind of life that you really want to live, not the kind of life that society is forcing you to live, not the kind of life that because you don't have money you have to live that life. It's more about what you want and working towards getting there. All right. So, looking at some of the issues that were raised in this episode, a pattern I observed, which I'm sure we all observe when we talk about personal finances, people seem to spend more than they make. So, for example, you start the month, your bank account balance is, let's say, 100 cedis. They pay your salary, let's say 3,000 cedis. So now balance is 3,300. Then you end the month with just 5 cedis. That means you spent 3,095 cedis, but what came in was 3,000. And it gets worse. In Ghana, we may not realize this so much with so many people because we don't have things like credit cards, or not many people have access to bank overdrafts that they can withdraw more than what's on their current balance. But actually, there's a way we in Ghana do it without these features. We go ask other people and we borrow from other people. And we all know every now and then, people come asking you, Charlie, can you wire me this? Can you wire me that? So what's your take on this? Why does this happen? Why do people seem to spend more than they make? Mimi, would you like to get us started on that? Or Dennis, what do you think about this?
And again, the question again, sir.
Oh, yeah. So the question is about people who spend more than they make. Why do we get ourselves into that kind of situation, or why does it happen?
Honestly, I would have had a very, bookish, if that's a word, response for you. But personally, this year, I've had to feel what a lot of other people feel, because normally, I have quite a good enough space for savings. And what I've come to realize is that sometimes as you budget and you're not able to stick within your budget for whatever reason, and it becomes frustrating, you sort of give up. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You sort of give up. You let it finish, we'll survive. That kind of thing. And so it's easy to fall down. I mean, it's very easy to go down that slope. But it's when you don't have enough that you even need to be more intentional about how you use what you have. And I think it can be quite difficult to go through the fact that you can't afford certain things, so you have to let it go. But I think it's always important to keep the end goal in mind, so that you don't feel like I'm doing all this work, I'm living life, I'm working hard, and there's nothing to show for it, because it's just for that season. So living beyond your means is something that can happen to anyone, especially in these times in Ghana, where I remember I used to use a certain amount to buy my kids stuff for a quarter, including snacks, provisions, everything. And now with that same amount, I'm just able to buy diapers and wipes, and I even have to add a bit more. And so it becomes very difficult, but it's important for us to adjust, also keeping the long-term goal in mind.
That's a powerful point. You may start on the right path doing the budgeting, Natalie. Life is hitting you with certain expenses, and then you start to lose hope. It's like you yourself got on this path, so you are giving yourself an exam, and every time you are failing that exam, ask yourself, like, yeah, like, why am I even giving myself this exam? You know what? Let me pause. When I get stuff back together, then I'll continue with this exam I keep giving myself. Yeah, so it can be quite frustrating. I totally get you on that. It's and some of these things are unforeseen. Like, who could have thought inflation would be where it's at? Like, we are talking about inflation rate of 50 something percent. Charlie, sometimes forget that 50 something percent. When the price of eggs, I think, Adam, that thing that you sent, I sent it on the group. When the prices of eggs are going from, what's the number? I need to check my WhatsApp to see the number. But when those prices, eggs and series and those things, they are going up, you realize that they are going up 100, 200%. Like, it's 2-3 times the normal price, the price you used to pay for it. And you're like, it doesn't make sense. Even the 25%, the 50% inflation that they are talking about, it's not your inflation, you know. So yeah, these things can throw you off. However, you know, I'm of the view that the times that we are in, it's a seasonal thing. I feel like we'll come out of this time, things will become normal again, and we'll be okay. So how about we look at it from this perspective of, okay, if before things got so bad, before inflation got so bad, what was preventing us from making sure that we're living within our means? Because I know that when we started my new convos like 2 years ago, we were talking about people not living within their means in 2021 before all these things scatter. Can we think of some of the discretionary things, like the choices that people made, whether it's about the kind of restaurants they go to, the kind of head that they buy, you know, and what drives those decisions? Then, okay, Mimi, go ahead.
I think sometimes these things are just emotional.
Mm.
It's like life is beating you, and you just want that one dress to wear that you feel would lift up your spirit. I mean, or that ice cream to eat. It's like therapy, retail therapy. So I think a lot of the time, when this whole inflation thing started, I thought that you will go to, a restaurant and see fewer people. But I was seeing more people going in, buying pizza. I was like, what's happening? But I think money is a very emotional thing. And so not being able to afford something you like when you've worked hard can even make working difficult for you. So sometimes you just want to buy, you just want to buy something to kill the depression. And that may also come with, its own problems. Yeah.
Charlie, Mimi, this matter, this table that you are shaking, I've fallen off it too. Remind them, I have to go and trick myself to Adam. Adam is my accountability partner on this thing. Adam, this week we have to talk because I have to trick myself. But the matter is not too bad.
We need to talk
The matter is not so bad. Yeah, I'll be coming to you this week to come and confess my sins. Because this thing, Mimi, this thing that you were saying, see, I kid you not, the last couple of weeks have been tough for me, right? And again, let me issue a disclaimer. I don't know how you people in Ghana are doing this, man. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but you are doing a massive job staying alive, staying sane. Because I'm looking at these prices going up and it doesn't make sense. Like, my mother will tell me she wants to do something. Oh, somebody did something for me last year. I should talk to the person, see the price. And the price, it's like 6x the price. I'm like, even if you peg this to the dollar, it wouldn't get to this, right? But so, disclaimer, I'm come to talk about first world problems. Okay, I know your problems are worse, all right? But then I'm here in a foreign country and I have to be, my brain is on high alert all the time. Like, this is for me, and especially because of like the tiny village, they call it a city, but the tiny village I'm in, not so many friends. My one very close Ghanaian friend had to defer the semester, so he's back in Ghana and trying to recuperate and all that. So it's pretty much me here all alone. All right. And I don't say this too often, but my divorce got finalized like 2 months ago now. Rarely ever say, but Charlie, it was quite an emotional thing, right? And then I look around, I'm like, yo, I have so many things to celebrate, right? But why is the man them not happy? And see, I've just been, for a while, I was just buying things. Just, okay, I feel like buying this video game. Look, I'll buy it. Maybe this video game will make me happy. I feel like buying this. Okay, look, maybe this is what will make me happy. Until I got to a point where I was like, okay, bro, yeah, you know that you barely have money for next month's rent now, right? Yeah, so it's time to stop. And you're not trying to pay next month's rent with a credit card, so you have to stop. Yes, I had a plan, and I was like, I'll just risk it, and I know I can cross that line, and I'll be fine. And things that need to be replenished will be replenished. I'll start working soon, and everything will be fine. So I did those, but I got to that point, and I ordered some of these things. It's funny. I ordered these things. They took like more than a week to come. They did and over some time. And now the things come. I go and I pick up the delivery, and it's just there. I've not even unboxed it. It's just there. And I realized that really I bought these things because, like Mimi was saying, look, I was emotionally down, and I just figured, look, maybe this is what will pick me up. Maybe that's what will pick me up. So just do it. And I'm sure we all feel that way sometimes, man. It's maybe not exactly the same scenario I'm pointing out, but even when I was in Ghana so many years ago, there were times when I was working so hard. I was working like 18 hours a day. I caught myself one day, I was staying near Danko Circle. I caught myself, I just got up and walked to Kuala with nothing in mind. Like, just walked to Kuala and I called my mother, I called my sister, do you need anything? I just buying stuff, because it gets to a point where, yeah, you're working so hard, you're not even getting to spend your money. The money is just sitting there. Yeah, you're building a war chest and all that, but nothing is making you happy in life. Okay, fine, I'll buy something. I'm not even buying it for myself. I'll just buy something to make my family members happy. They're happy. I'm happy. I put a smile on their face. Like, it's the emotional stuff, and we can't play it down. Like, we can come and talk to you about interest rates and all that fancy stuff, but really, personal finance is personal. It's about psychology. So yeah, I just went on a rant. Pardon my rant, but yeah, I guess I'll pass the mic on to Dennis. Dennis, you are fresh out of being a student. When you were a student, what did you realize caused people to live beyond their means, beyond the pocket money their parents were giving them?
So primarily, I think that the prices on campus were affecting things, and then those were general knowledge. Like if you are living on campus, you have to be prepared to pay more for accommodation, for eating, and for everything. But I think if for those of us that took the approach, that took the first step to start talking about money, start talking to people about how to start these basic things like budget, like savings, it got us on the right foot. So I think that even in the movie, it was highlighted that people use they didn't talk about money enough, so they use their problems about, or they spend on a lot of things just to disguise the problems they have. So sometimes on campus, you have someone buying food every day, and the excuse is, I don't have time. I can't. I don't have time. I have a lot of people who want to eat and everything. I'm focusing on my grades. My grades matter more. And then if the person could just sit down and assess and know that, oh, maybe I can cook something, or I can buy some food somewhere and then cook some rice, I might see go this much or this a step in the right direction would have helped. So I think not talking enough about money, again, it's part of our system. We don't talk about money a lot, except for a few platforms like this one where you have the opportunity to share what you think and then how you approach money. There aren't a lot of platforms. So I think that was the biggest problem that we faced.
Okay, so people weren't having enough opportunities to talk about money. They were not well equipped with information about how to deal with money. So they were just going on autopilot, and that autopilot was not going in the right direction. Okay, that's great. You mentioned something. I used to, when I was on campus, I used to always buy food. I didn't cook. When times got really hard, then I started cooking Indomie and then buying kinky. Kinky there back in the day when kinky was 1 city. Yeah, I know some many years ago. When kinky was, one bowl of kinky was 1 city. Yeah, buy some kinky, have some tuna that maybe I took from my house, tuna flakes, have some shito, and then I'm good to go. Yeah, but yeah, and now that gets me thinking like now I'm back to being a student. Why didn't you people remind me? Why didn't anyone ever tell me that banku was so easy to make? I've discovered the joy of making banku in the last 2 weeks. Now that's what I have for lunch almost every day because I have plenty shito. I have some. My mother sent me shito. My auntie sent me shito. Another auntie sent me shito. A friend from Ghana was coming. She brought me shito. So I have plenty shito. I come from class. Oh, I've not even removed my clothes. I start putting the banku on fire. Within 15 minutes, I'm eating. I'm like, whoa. You should have told me that a banku is the equivalent of Indomie in terms of speed. But anyway, now I know. So less money is going towards food. That's great. Anyway, all right, let's take on another topic. And hey, Adam, let us know when you're settled and you want to jump back into the conversation. You just raise your hand so we see it. Okay, so to anyone who just joined, we are having a conversation about the first episode of a series on Netflix, How to Get Rich. And it's by a journalist who gives people advice on personal finance. It's Ramit Sethi, and he's just trying to get people to live their rich life. And his philosophy is spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. All right. And we are trying to pick apart some of the issues in here and looking at examples from the people who are in the show to see where we can also learn and improve our personal finance. So another thing I picked up on, a couple wanted to buy a home, and we all know that there's this feeling like you must own your home, you must own your home. So I have a question for you. If you don't own a home, would you consider yourself a failure? Adam, are you available? Okay, I guess we can start with Mimi.
Edem has to build houses, so I'm sure his answer will be yes.
I know, right? I know, right? Kind of inheriting
You are
bias on this
spoiling the
matter.
business.
Eh,
Anyway, in Ghana, building a house is a status symbol. That shows that you have arrived. But also, I think because the way our rent system is like, sometimes having a house gives you some sort of comfort, knowing that tomorrow your landlord is not going to come and say, I've increased rent prices. And I think, I don't know how rent is outside, but I don't think the tenants are the ones to fix certain things when they get spoiled. Unlike Ghana, where if you've rented a place and something gets spoiled, so that doesn't protect you from the maintenance cost anyway. However, one thing about building your own house is I think it comes with a lot of cost to maintain, the place. But all in all, I think having your own space gives you some kind of peace of mind. I've spoken to a number of my friends, colleagues who rent, and I think it's their number one headache, just trying to put together the lump sum to be able to pay, for a year or two. And so having a space, at least that's is no longer a problem for people. So yes, it's a status symbol, but because of the way things are here in Ghana too, it gives people some peace of mind. At least if your sink is fault and you decide not to fix it, that's your problem. But if your rent is due and you don't pay, you are sleeping outside. So
oh, that's a powerful analogy. If your sink is spoiled and you don't fix it, it's your problem. But when rent is due, you're sleeping outside. Maybe dropping the bars for us. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. It's a status symbol, but then it's also an issue about convenience. It's an issue about safety and stability. I think, yeah, the best term is stability. You have a stable mind to know that the roof over your head is a permanent roof over your head, and it's not going to be threatened by another person. So yeah, Yeah, I agree with you on those points. These are things that people will be thinking about. Let's see, Dennis, how about you? What's your perspective? What do you think if somebody doesn't own or if you don't own a home, are you a failure? Dennis, if you're speaking, you're muted.
In a working system.
Yep, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I would also side with many on this one. In a working system, it shouldn't be a problem to rent all your life if you work. Then because you have whether your work will allow you to stay at one point or you're traveling all the time and all of Ghana is very business. Rent control is difficult. Putting money aside to start your own building from foundation to roofing is another wahala. Buying the house in dollars is another wahala. I think for that, having your own house sort of brings convenience as you said, and I think it's generally your goals you have, the plan you have, and then what you want.
Okay. Yeah, it depends on your goals. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that perspective. And I side with that. It depends, right? I think owning a home is a good idea, ideally, all right? Although Dennis said in a perfect system, you, you should be able to rent all your life. I think that's true. For another angle, another side of the story I also see is ideally if you own a home, it's good because let's think about it. It's a store of wealth. That home you own is a store of wealth. Someone may be paying rent, and let's assume if they build their own home and they do a mortgage, right? Or the how much you'll be paying, yeah, how much you'll be paying towards building the home. If that cost of owning a home versus a cost of renting. Let's assume the rent is 1,000 cedis, but if they take a mortgage, it's going to be 2,000 cedis. So they choose to rent and say, "Well, I'm saving 1,000 cedis." Question is, Can you trust yourself that 1,000 cedis you will save it? You won't touch it. Even if in an emergency or something happens, you want to travel, you want to go on vacation, you won't touch that money such that in 10, 15 years, that money would have been saved and built a big enough investment for you that is comparable to somebody who, on the same day you made a decision, that person did a mortgage and they have a value. When they count their net worth, they can count the home that they own, that value of the home. I think these are the two trade-offs. And I feel like if somebody is committing to pay a mortgage, it binds them to invest compared to someone who would say they are paying rent and then they will send that money to an investment account every month. That one, anything could go wrong. Oh, this month something came up. Oh, the other month something came up. And I'm sure as I'm saying this, everybody's thinking about some time that they had a plan to. Oh, this time I've drawn my budget. This time, Charlie, 500 cities. Once my salary comes out, why are it here? But once the salary comes, no, in fact, before the salary comes, your car when you start it, it won't do tanini again. To do tanini, you understand? It will take a minute before the car starts. But if you have a binding something that's binding you like a mortgage, Charlie, if you don't pay your loan, you'll be in trouble. Yeah, I think it serves as a motivator for people to build wealth. And an issue of personal finance, I think owning a home is a good idea. Just that in Ghana, Charlie, where systems don't work, you have to pay for the land how many times, deal with land guards, then you start building, and then you have to deal with, if you don't go and get them to help you build, then you have to deal with some crooked contractors who be building their third house alongside your house. It's like so many things could go wrong with this. So it's really tricky, and I think it's something that people should consider. Is it if I don't own a home, am I a failure? I think it gets to a point where you have to ask yourself, don't compare yourself with other people, right? Compare yourself with yourself. What could have been your ideal self? If you are fresh out of university like Dennis and you don't own a home, you're not a failure. How was that gonna happen? for you to finish school and suddenly you own a home. No. You weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. No. But if you've been working for 15 years, right? You've been working for 15 years or 10 years, and you know it's always been in your ambition to own a home. You've always wanted to do it. You've always had a plan to do it. But you haven't followed through with your plan. At that point, I'm not going to be negative to say you're a failure, but at that point, you need to really start making certain hard decisions. Why haven't you followed your own plan? I'm not saying if you work for 15 years, you should have a house. No. I'm saying if you've worked for 15 years, 10 years, you've worked for a long time and it's always been within your plan to do it, it's about you just keeping score against the targets you set for yourself, So we need to ask ourselves these hard questions and then follow through with the plans that we make. That's what I think. Great. Okay. All right. We still have some more time. Let's see. A few other issues. So you see why I said we could only do episode 1, and we are still on episode 1. I think it's an 8-part series, right? So yeah, in some weeks to come, we'll continue with the other episodes. If you just joined, we are having a conversation about a series on Netflix. It's How to Get Rich. A journalist, Ramet Sethi, who gives people advice about personal finance, and he's in this series. He takes different people's issues, and he always starts with the point of, what do you want? What is your rich life? He prefers that people will live the kind of life that they want to, and then they make deliberate actions towards the kind of life that they want. And he has a philosophy: spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't like. Okay, I guess getting towards the end, if one more thing I could bring up is people not being comfortable sharing deep stuff. Like, bring an outsider into your personal life, and the person is going through your bank statements. Why did you buy this? Why did you buy that? You said you do this. Why haven't you done it? Dennis was saying a few moments ago, we don't have these kind of conversations. So yeah, let's talk about this. How do we feel about conversations about money? And I'm not talking about, Cheddar has money, Dangote has money. No. Talking about our own money. Us talking about our incomes. Any thoughts on them? You want to go ahead? Yeah.
What we do here on Money Convos is actually, I remember hearing the word money conversations while I was watching the series, and I was like, oh, okay, so our name is actually not a bad one. Money conversations are very, it's so key, and but it can also be very uncomfortable because it makes you feel very vulnerable. Like, they're really open, and if you listen to what I think Ramis was saying, you could actually just tell a person, or you can form impressions about someone just by looking at their checking account, or in our case we call it current accounts, and by how they spend even without meeting them. So it's the reason why money conversations sometimes feel a bit difficult to have, because people feel very vulnerable, because you can see right into them just by seeing how they spend, because basically we put money where things we value. That's where we put our monies into, or the places, the areas we put our monies into are basically the areas that we value, or the things we value. Okay, so it makes people feel very uncomfortable, especially when they know they are not doing well. And from watching the episode, you could realize that all those people who were in the episode, from the first couple all the way to now, you could see that everybody had an idea that something was wrong with their lifestyle and their issues with money. But some way, somehow, it becomes very uncomfortable when you're having this conversation. And I think it's the same for a number of us. Okay? But I think it's a good thing to be able to open up to people. Probably maybe not strangers in the sense. In some instances, maybe that might be the best, because this person might not seem to have an interest necessarily. But people we can trust, that we can open up to help us, because oftentimes these habits are things we have grown up with for a long time. It's not easy to break out of them, especially if they are negative habits. So I think it's very important that we have those conversations. They could be conversations, but they need to be had. Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. These conversations make us feel judged because they show the things that we value. They show our flaws. So no one likes to be put on the spot to feel judged. Okay, that's a very valid point. And shout out to Mimi. Mimi came up with the name Money Convos. Very catchy name. Very catchy name. So yeah, it's a good what we are doing is good. It's a good path that we are following, trying to get people to have these conversations about money. Um, you know, in a moment, I'll let another person go and I'll share what my take is on this. Surprise, surprise! I'm also flawed. So yeah, Mimi, would you like to go next?
I didn't hear your question, but I heard what Adam said. So just repeat so that I don't still go.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So the question is how do we feel about talking about money? People are not so comfortable talking about deep stuff, and money can be one of those deep stuff that people are not comfortable with. Why is that the case, and what can be done?
I think money, Adam said, reveals what you value. But I don't think it's just that. I think it reveals your psychological state. Because when you check the couple, if you remember the woman and the guy, I think that like it revealed her beliefs. Deep inside, she feels like her man should be working, should be the provider, and you know, because the man had to stop to take care of the kids, there was some sort of disrespect that, I mean, this is my money. You know how a lot of women say, my money is, what they say, my money is my money and your money is our money. That belief, and sometimes the way we spend money reveals some of the beliefs that we don't really know. Like we haven't really sat down to analyze that this is the way we feel. But money sort of brings it out. And it becomes very difficult to open it up because it's like your weaknesses. You get it? It reveals not like it doesn't just reveal your financial weaknesses because remember that money is just like a means to an end, right? But it reveals like other weaknesses, and sometimes you are just not like ready to deal with your demons, and so it becomes very difficult to open up about it, especially where you think people feel you should be doing better. I remember Kochi talking about a friend who just can't get her money situation right. And so you talk to a friend who probably, let's assume you earn 5,000, this person earns 10,000, and they are still struggling with their money. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? I think it reveals some level of weakness and vulnerability. Like when people come up to you to talk about their money situation to you, they are really opening up like their lives. And I think that especially in our culture where it's like, oh, if you have a problem, keep it to yourself. I think that also affects affect the way we tackle some of these conversations. I've had an opportunity to just observe something small with financial planning. So what I realized is we had some free financial planning service at work. And you would realize that for most of those who weren't exposed, maybe they haven't gone outside, they are not exposed to financial advisors and financial planners. They find it very difficult, like opening up like their whole lives for you to see, for you to judge, for you to advise. And so you find very few people taking advantage of this opportunity. So it's psychological, it's cultural, etc.
That's interesting. People are uncomfortable with this kind of scrutiny, opening themselves up. Well, I strongly encourage that people should start talking to people they trust. Small. You don't have to open up everything. Just have a conversation. Oh, hey, I do things this way. How do you also do it? Just pick people's brains, small, and I guess that can help build that muscle. And also, just as Mimi was talking, I was thinking about what can make people comfortable. Something is, if somebody shares with you things that are private, or you can reasonably expect that this is private, you shouldn't disclose it. Because I think another concern people will have is, okay, if I tell you, I'm gonna tell other people, right? So yeah. Anyway, Mimi, thanks for giving those examples. Speaking
Sorry,
of,
let me just add to
yeah.
what I think that Sarah
Mm-hmm.
does very well with this. But I think as a financial advisor or coach, whatever, if you want people to open up, you also have to open up yourself. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I got my budget right, I'm fantastic. You know how sometimes pastors can use all the examples of their perfect lives, on what you should do. But just opening up that this is where I was, this is how I've been vulnerable, this is how far I have come. It just makes it relatable and gives people, like, just makes people open up. I think that that's a very good thing.
That's true. Showing that we are all flawed, but we are relatable. So there's not some high and mighty person just coming to preach to us. And relatability really matters, right? Otherwise, if people don't feel like they can relate, everything that you say, oh wow, oh that's really good. That makes a lot of sense. When it gets to the point of practicing, Charlie, me and that person, we are not the same. I can't do what the person did. I'm different, right? So yeah, very good point you've raised. Speaking of um fallibility, I think for me, my concern, my take on this is, I'm actually comfortable talking about money generally as a general topic with almost everybody, until I realize that there are a few groups of people that I'm not comfortable talking to them about money. It's just in the last couple of weeks that I've actually faced that, and I'm like, why is that the case? So I realized I'm not so comfortable talking to my nuclear family about money. Don't worry, I don't think any of them listens to this podcast. Anyway, so when I was married, I had no problem talking to my wife then about money. It was fine. We could talk about money, and that was okay. But with my mother, my sister, my father, rarely it's at the point of, oh yeah, okay, you have to go to school. Okay, then do you have enough money? This, that. Even when my mother's checking up, do you have enough money? Like, I'm like, let's not talk about. I feel like let's not talk about money until it's very necessary. Like, don't worry, when I need it, I'll come to you. Until then, it's not a topic of conversation. So now I ask myself, why am I uncomfortable with that? I guess maybe the way we were raised and my perception about my nuclear family is really about obligations, and I guess it feels some way admitting this, but I feel like if I let if I let them know the full extent of things, there will be certain ridiculous demands on me. Now, granted, my family is a very reasonable family. I get more from them than I give them. But the question is, what if someone may want to buy something and will come and ask me, and there have been a few times, oh yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, yeah, but now because you've asked me, I have to do it, right? Because when I ask you for something, you just do it. And of course, I only go asking for stuff when it's very necessary. So if I put myself in a position where they know the full extent, once they ask for something, I have very little option to say no, because they rarely ever say no to me. So it's something I haven't figured it out. It's something I only just really started paying attention to it. So yeah, hopefully with time we can all try to figure this out together and see how that goes. On the other hand, I have no problem discussing how much I make with the general public, especially like people who want to get to Cornell, who want to get into the kind of firms I've received offers from or worked at. I feel like it's more about motivation for those in those kind of conversations. If I feel like I'm in a position where I don't feel like this person will come and bill me, they don't feel like, oh, okay, if you are making money, then you can give me this. I have some friends who are like that. Like, I'd have been comfortable talking to them about these things, but the more they know. Then it's like smallest thing, they want to come and ask me for money. So those people, I stopped discussing those things with them. There was a friend I actually had to tell, look, please stop asking about this thing, okay? It's that, like, let's not do that, because the person will always end up coming to that point. If I don't feel, if I feel like it will motivate somebody, great, I'll have a conversation with them. In the US, people don't like to talk about how much they make. They feel like it's some type of way. But here, there's enough information. Just Google it. Okay, somebody who does this kind of work in this kind of company, how much would they be paid? You see the amount there. So I don't have to tell you. You can Google it, right? But in Ghana, people don't know. And in Ghana, employers try to make it a hush thing, and that's a story for another day. Why are they trying to keep it a secret so that you don't go and check if you are being paid fairly, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So yeah, it's, for me, my take on it is I'm open, but I just realized that I do have some gaps and areas that I have realized I'm not comfortable talking to certain people about it. But if it's going to be inspiring to people, I tell them the reason why you have to work hard. Dennis, just earlier this week, I was I was trying to give Dennis a pep talk. Bro, you gotta grind, boy. You gotta grind, because the future is really bright. The future is bright and sweet, so it can be good inspiration sometimes. And I see same with my best friend. It's sometimes when you talk about these things with the people around you, like my best friend is a Harvard trained lawyer, right? I attend Cornell. And there's a third one in the group, and certainly, it's like he also he'll feel the pressure small, like he has to do something. But that's the way. It's not like we sat down and we said that, Charlie, we all have to go to the best of the best schools. Okay, yeah, we do say that, but we don't say, okay, for you to be a friend, our friend, you have to go to this kind of school. No, or you have to get this kind of job, or you have to be doing this kind of thing. But as we surround ourselves with, and we keep having these kind of conversations, you have no choice but to be motivated, right? If you are always surrounding yourself with people who talk about these kind of things, healthy habits, healthy drive, healthy ambition. Of course, every now and then we mix it up with talking about women. Yes, there's that too, but also have to be in the right circles, talking to the right people about the right things. So yeah, be therefore motivated to talk to people, find the right people you can feel safe talking to them, and not be worried about how it will fall back badly on you. All right, Mimi, any more perspective?
You were talking about something, so it just reminded me. I think these days I like to reflect a lot. And I was just thinking about, some of the decisions I've made, which are very unlike me, casting my mind back. So I was wondering who influenced that decision. And I realized it's you and Sarah.
Hey, wait, first, let me, are these good? I can't take the suspense. Are these good or bad ideas?
Oh no, it's good ideas.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, yes. Me and Sarah, we are doing very well. If it was bad, I'll say it wasn't me.
So I remember last year, I spoke about, taking more risks, which led me to the crypto space and then the stock space. And recently, a decision I made. And I'm just sitting there thinking that, I like to be in my comfort zone. So this seems like something different from what I would have been doing. So I have to just cast my mind back on my environment. What has been influencing that? I was like, nah, these two people, they are part of it. Especially this serum that can sit at one place.
Oh, maybe thank you so much for these words of appreciation. I can go to bed sleeping soundly knowing that if I've not done anything in the world, I've been a good friend to you. Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna start wrapping up this conversation. And to anyone who just joined, we are having a discussion on the first episode of a series on Netflix, How to Get Rich. It's the host talks to people about how they can live their rich life, and his philosophy is that spend extravagantly on things you love and cut costs mercilessly on things you don't. So yeah, to our speakers up here, I have a concluding question for you. Let me bring Dennis back up. What would you say to people? Wait, is this a series you recommend for people to watch? If yes, why? If no, please keep the opinion to yourself. I'm just kidding. But yeah, if yes or no, please give the reason why. Just say something to motivate someone to watch it, or don't waste their time watching it. Any thoughts? Maybe let's start with you.
Well, I think I've recommended it to a number of people. In fact, Sarah and I had a program with some ladies where we actually discussed this movie. Because I've watched quite a number of personal finance review. I think what you call movies. I think all of them bring out something, but this one just had for me a little twist. I mean, especially with the marriage part, that couple that was having that challenge. So I thought that would be good for people to watch it too. Also, I remember my husband. Yes, let me use this. So I've been telling my husband some things, try and do this, try and do that, and he wasn't really minding. But after watching the movie, he came and told me that I want to now do this, want to now do that. I said, but isn't this what I've been telling you all along? So I mean, if we are advising you and you think it's a hard pill to swallow, just go and watch the movie. Of course, you may not agree with anything, but I'm sure you would take one or two things from it. Yes, so just go and watch the How to Get Rich.
Well, that's a good one. If he says if you're trying to get someone to do something and they are not doing it, get them to watch this show and they'll comply. That's a good one, maybe. But yeah, it's every different movie, every book, every series has its own way of bringing some of these things to light, and I'm enjoying how this thing is playing out. Yeah, great. Dennis, how about you? How do you encourage people? What do you think? Good book to good movie to good series to watch, and why?
Yeah, I think it's totally worth it. Everyone should watch because 4 episodes in, and then I think I took a break, went to check my checking account balance, checked my savings account, and then transferred some money from my checking account to my savings account because of what I saw in the movie. Because the content is pretty much relatable. You don't just get the perspective from middle income and then the people who are trying to reach the middle income bracket. But then there's also an instance where someone who is really rich, maybe one of the richest people in the world, also has problems with money. And then it makes you realize it's not about how much you earn, but then how you can manage it, whether it's little or whether it's much. So it is changing a lot of perspectives I had about money, about savings, about investing, about focusing on the things that I cherish and then cutting those I don't really need. And I would recommend everyone to watch. And I sincerely hope it changes their financial life.
That's great. As you're watching the movie, you're making a to do list for yourself. You're watching somebody and like scratching your head and thinking about yourself. Where do I fall? I know, right? It's so easy to judge other people, but then when it's time for us to ask ourselves these questions, it's more difficult. So yeah, let's see more examples of people living life, and then we can see how we can relate to it, and hopefully that can get us moving. Great, thank you, Dennis, for that perspective. Yeah, for me, I think it's a really good it's a good series to watch. I like that it takes a different approach. It's not that you must do this, you must do that, make personal finance boring. No, 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 no. It's still fun. It's still about living a life as a human being, a well-rounded human being who is actually getting the things that you want done. It's not just ticking boxes. It's really about living a life that you want to have, whatever that life is, and taking the necessary actions to make sure that it comes through. So yeah, it's also fun. Well, I think it's well written, it's not so much of acting, but well organized. So you wouldn't feel like you're watching some crappy show. It's good content, quite entertaining too. So strongly encourage everyone. You would get sufficient notice the next time we are going to talk about episode 2. So do go watch it. Let's see, Edem, are you available to give us your final take on this, whether people should watch it and why? Okay, I guess Adam's still in a position to join. All right, great. Thank you all for joining in on this conversation. When Mimi was talking, she was talking about coaches, and in case you were wondering what that's about, get on Instagram and look for at investment_friend. Here on Money Convos, we talk about general things, general stuff about personal finance. But as you've seen from this series, sometimes you need somebody who is more knowledgeable, more experienced in the issues of money to hold your hand. Look at your individual situation to see what actions you should take. And that's what Investment Friend is for you. All right. Maybe not even for you, but for the people around you. So follow, share, let people know about it so that they can also go there. The content on it is great. You see Mimi and Sarah being very good content creators, good actresses, making nice fun content, doing challenges. You join in and you get more direct, actionable information about how you can improve your own choices. So yeah, at investment_friend on Instagram. And while you're on Instagram, follow us also Money Convos GH. Yeah, we are not so active on the socials. And I know Dennis is looking at me with a side eye. You know, the Gen Zs, they want us to get active on the socials, but this old man only shows up here to do a podcast once a week. But yeah, we'll try to do more on that, share more of information ahead of time. And we're also looking for volunteers. If you believe in the core and you want to see how you can help out, try to get people to be more financially independent, please do shoot us a message, and then let's see how we can devote at least maybe a few hours of your time every now and then to towards the cause. Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, on Twitter or X, on Facebook. If you want to play back this conversation, get on YouTube, just search for Money Convos. Follow us there, subscribe there, hit the bell icon, the usual stuff. Or wherever you listen to podcasts, just search for Money Convos. Dennis does a brilliant job of making sure that our show is up on these channels on YouTube and podcasts within a few days. So do get on it and play back these conversations. So yeah, as the week comes to as a new week is starting, I want to thank you for your time on this nice Sunday night, and I hope that you'll be productive. You start having good conversations with people. Surround yourself with people you can trust, people who have good intentions for you, so that you can have these conversations with them. You learn more about money. You learn how different people do different things. And most importantly, dedicate some time to watch this series on Netflix, How to Get Rich. All right, then. Thank you for your time once again. Have a good night. Have a great week. Be productive. Goodbye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.